Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's my brother's Model Y Performance. He's actually owned it for almost 4 years now, so I'll also have a 4-year update video on how well this vehicle is kept up. But today's video is going to see how does it do on these all-weather Nokian tires that have around 8/32 of tread depth. It also has Martian wheels, which look really good and add quite a bit of sidewall compared to the 21-inch wheels that came factory on this. So we're going to take it through the snow. We're going to see how it does, and if this is the ultimate snow driving machine, and how well does it do compared to the Subarus, which I'm used to driving. So if you get anything out of this video, if you're maybe considering a Model Y, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right into this driving review. And just for reference, as we get going, this is in normal mode right now, so we'll have some fun. I'm really curious to see how the traction management system is. If you're new to my channel, I've actually driven the 1,000 horsepower Plaid before, and I was amazed that even that on dry roads on the factory tires don't spin. So I'm curious to see how this does accelerating and braking with these all-weather tires, but also just to check out how Tesla's all-drive management system is when there is a lot more slick conditions than there would be on typical roads. Actually, let's take a left. With a little bit of power, you can tell the rear is trying to kick out, but it quickly gets back under control and it really doesn't let you get too far. This vehicle weighing in the mid 4,000 pound point, it does feel a little bit bumpy, but it's really not too bad on these 2 to 3 inch little bits of snow that we're having today. Giving a little bit of power on the corner, and it really doesn't lose control much in normal mode. Directional changes are also pretty controllable for the most part. You are going to slide a little bit, but this is so far handling a lot better than I was expecting. And you still can feel all the instant electric torque that you've come to know and expect with the Tesla. But let's get up here. Looks like the road's going to straighten out, and we'll see how this does when we hop on the brakes. First of all, I'll give it about half pedal and then we'll go from there. Yeah, ABS kicked in a little bit. Definitely slowed us down though. It didn't feel like the vehicle was freaking out. All the sensors and everything didn't seem like those were going off too bad. And then it gets right up to speed. We did catch a little bit of solid ground right there. But these tires, all this extra sidewall, I think it's really absorbing a lot of the bumps and ruts in the road, especially if you are going to have the Model Y Performance suspension. It's going to be a little bit lower compared to the regular long range or standard range models. And even when I come off of the gas, the regen braking does such a good job to slow you down. So it doesn't even feel like you're going to lose that much control, unless maybe you hard slam on the brakes, which we'll do in just a few minutes. But cruising around, I've seen a lot of trucks like this one really having to take it slow. The tails are really getting kind of out and loose on them. And this Model Y with around a 9.5 foot wheelbase just feels very solid and very confidence inspiring. And when you need to get up to speed in your Model Y Performance, it does that very well, keeping the vehicle pretty straight overall. I'm actually really impressed with this so far. So I think the Subarus might have a little bit of competition in the winter. Of course, these do cost quite a bit more than those vehicles, but this on a good set of tires is surprisingly very impressive. So let's get to another neighborhood. Let's see if we can find thicker snow elsewhere, or maybe some black ice, and we'll catch up then. And again, this is the Model Y Performance, which is rated for around 3.5 seconds 0 to 60. So even on a wet road like this, it doesn't seem to be too icy right now, but it's very wet and it is around 30 degrees. Let me just show you what a small push of the acceleration can do and how well it keeps traction to still go in a straight line. No wheel slippage. I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel any traction control systems just kicking in. The Tesla put down exactly what it could manage, which is completely impressive that it can do that. And let's try it twice, see if it does the same thing. Yeah, extremely impressive. This vehicle jumps up in speed about 10 miles per hour just by the time you push your foot all the way down on the accelerator pedal, and that's pretty impressive. And we're still on a wet, slushy road, but let me just show you how this does for passing power. That was maybe a full second on the accelerator, and that's all it took to catch up to speed. You really aren't getting a good sense on video how fast this thing accelerates, how much G-force you can really feel. But if you guys have driven one of these, which I highly recommend you do, even if that's just going to the Tesla store and checking one out for a couple hours, drive one, experience one, drive it in snow if you get the chance. It's really impressive how well this thing is doing and just how great it feels to drive, even in these conditions, even on, you know, not a winter tire, just an all-weather tire. This is doing a really good job. And while we wait for this light to change, just check out the software that is involved in this. I know not everyone likes that most of the controls are controlled through the big giant Tesla screen, but it really is a good one. A lot of other automakers, their screens are out of date basically by the time you buy the vehicle, even if it's brand new. But these, they do a really good job. They're constantly getting over-the-air updates, and the software is just superior in a lot of ways. You can also start to get some of the full driving betas, which are pretty cool. But this, it just gives you a lot of information, gives you a lot of the safety features, and why this is just about the safest vehicle that has ever been tested in the crash test tests by Highway Institute of Safety. I found a little bit more snow, so what I'm gonna do is come to a complete stop and then give it maybe half acceleration, and we're gonna see what happens and just how well this hooks. Also pay attention to the speedometer. See how fast we actually gain speed. 3, 2, 1. It felt like there was wheel spin for just a moment, and then power got pulled to the point where this was putting down all the energy that I could actually efficiently use. And that's really cool. I'm gonna give it a full brake test, and we're gonna see if it keeps us straight and how much sliding we actually do. Okay, so we still slid quite a bit. Remember, this does weigh 4,500 pounds, but that didn't feel excessive. These tires still felt like they were gripping pretty good. And I didn't slide further than I was really expecting to. Let's do maybe a casual half brake right here, coming up to the stop sign. Yeah, no slipping, no ABS engaging, and even just being off the gas, having the auto-gen braking. That does a really good job because that's like slowing you down from the internal, so it's not likely to lock up your wheel like your brake caliper does on the rotor. So you're less likely to lose control if you do let the vehicle regen brake, and I think that's a really cool feature. I think that would be especially valuable for those of you who drive a lot on the interstates, and when you come off the off-ramps. It's kind of like engine braking compared to traditional wheel braking, and that's going to help you out a lot. I also have a speed bump up here. This does have a slightly oversized tire, but with the lowered suspension, speed bumps really aren't a problem in this, like they could be in some other performance cars that have 1 inch lower. Yeah, really not too much of a problem, and I don't personally think the suspension on this is too rough or too aggressive. I actually like it quite a bit. I know that is kind of a concern, but if you do drive sportier vehicles that are a little bit more buttoned down, have a little bit more stiff chassis and suspension tuning so that you can feel more of the road, I think you're gonna like these vehicles quite a lot. It's been a while since I drove a regular Model Y long range, but this feels pretty good at these low speeds, especially around town and through parking lots. Also, the new Model Ys, not even the new generation that's gonna be out in a few months, but they have an updated suspension. This one was one of the very first Model Y performances that came out almost 4 years ago. And the suspension, it's all factory, it's all original. Nothing has really been replaced on this. And if you want to know more of the in-depth details of what has failed on this, what services has it gone through, and how did those services go, there'll be a few more videos regarding that. So you can look for those on my channel. If they're not already out, they will be within the next couple weeks. Well guys, my final thoughts of driving my brother's Model Y Performance is it actually surprised me quite a bit. Before this vehicle, he did have a Crosstrek, one of the second generations, a 2018 that he lifted, put on an oversized all-terrain tire, and that thing kicked butt in the snow. He did say when he first got this, which his was around 100,000 is the VIN number on this compared to, you know, the several million that have now been produced. And when he first got this on the factory wheels, he does think the Crosstrek handled better, but that was on factory wheels. And then an update came, an over-the-air update, and this started to have a much better traction management system. And then following these wheels, this thing is an absolute beast. I often talk on my channel about how good Subarus are, especially when they have a competent severe weather rated tire. But this Nokian tire with this setup, even with a 1/4 inch of tread, it is doing phenomenal. And this might be the best winter driving vehicle that I've ever driven. So what are your guys' thoughts? What are your guys' opinions? Like this video if you got anything out of it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out those other videos of this Tesla on my channel. And I wish you guys the best. Hope you take care. And until next time, see ya.